Okay, it is time to reduce the diameter of our rod stock to the size of that white ring that we scribed into it. Make it smaller in diameter. It's not quite centered, meaning that the mortise in the pipe isn't quite centered. The rod stock hole is centered in it, but so I'm going to have to stop a little bit short of all the way. But this is a whole lot simpler and easier than doing it on a French wheel or any other method. As long as you have a machine like this, you might as well use it. Okay, I'm using the same aircraft bit that we did before. That's 0.128 inches, and it only has some flutes in the final 1.5 inches or so. And this goes down the 0.128 diameter hole until it runs into the 0.125 diameter hole and locks up tight. And this is going to make a bit of noise, but it's better than the alternative, which is dying by tomorrow morning from dust generated by this thing. Okay, we've cut down the barrel portion of the stem to within a stone's throw of the size of the shank. We're ready to go into the blade part. I've swapped out the 2-inch belt for a 1-inch belt. This is 40 grit, so it'll go off of there pretty quick. And we're going to leave the barrel length plus some slop for the sloped part. That we'll have to do that by hand, or most of it by hand. So in any event, something worth remarking on is one of the advantages of a knife grinder like this is you can orient these wheels to allow you to look directly down. You can stand over this thing and see a light gap. And you can also align stuff with this tool rest so that everything stays straight and it's none of this pushing against a sanding disc and then hoping for the best and checking, correcting, checking, correcting. You're actually in control of the entire process with something like this. So anyway, I'm going to cut this down. I'm going to start again and then shut the camera off because of the noise, and it's just the same. There's nothing to watch, but you get to see it start up, and we'll just jump to the next segment. So here we go. Okay, I've now done the rough shaping on the blade. You'll notice that the stock itself is a lot wider than necessary, partly because it's just good policy for having enough extra here and there to offset unexpected things. I won't go into it now, but usually having a rod that's a little bit bigger than you think you need is a good idea. In this case specifically, this pipe has the FT stamp on it, which means fishtail. So the stem has to flare toward the button. So we got plenty of room to do that now. And I'm going to not do that on this because it's dead flat. I'm going to do it on a French wheel that is for making curves. Also, this knob that I kept referring to, this handle, in earlier segments on this video, this is the reason why it was a good idea. It gives you total control when you're grinding on this thing. This will take, it's gone. It's like touching a laser force field or something. The material just disappears, and you want to have a really good control and not pinching the end of a button. That would be a bad idea, but this gives you a total control over any shaping that you do on this wheel. So, alrighty, I'm going to go to the French wheel now. We'll take the sides off, and it's going to start looking a whole lot like a stem when that happens. Okay, we're back at the machine that earlier we polished the tenon on. Now it's been mounted with an abrasive wheel, and it's slightly curved on the front, called a French wheel, and it's good for shaping stuff. Something that I do here that's different than pipe makers, they tend to have these mounted at waist level so they can sit, and they always push their work into it. I much prefer being able to look straight down so I can see the light gap. That's why this white card is down here, and it lets you have really good control over what you're doing. And I think they prefer their way and I prefer mine because we do a different job. If you're creatively shaping, that's really a different thing than trying to match a specific line. And because most of what I do is making stems that look like the originals as much as possible, unless it's a special request to put like a church warden stem on a pipe or something. But usually I want to copy something, and that I need absolutely every ounce of control that I can get. So once again, it's going to be noisy, but nothing I can do about that. We'll buzz that down and be getting where we want to go. Okay, another step here on this particular wheel is the sloped portion between the barrel and the blade. You might as well use something that seems to be almost made for the task, right? So I'm going to be cutting that in and putting some slope on there, something that you can do perfectly fine with a file, but why use a hand file when you can use a machine, is pretty much what I'm thinking. So I'll get that done, and then we will be on to actual handwork.